What if I told you there are riches hidden beneath our feet, jewels tucked away in forgotten corners of the earth, and golden artifacts lost to time, still waiting to be found? The world is full of mysteries, but few capture our imagination like the legends of lost treasures. These aren't just stories of wealth, they're tales of empires risen and fallen, of daring adventurers who vanished without a trace, and of secrets buried so deep they've slipped through history's grasp. From the golden cities of El Dorado to the missing crown jewels of ancient kings, these treasures aren't just objects, they're fragments of our past, waiting to whisper their stories to those bold enough to seek them. Think about it. How does something as valuable as a king's ransom simply disappear? How do chests of gold, temples lined with precious stones, or legendary artifacts vanish without a clue? The truth is, history is littered with moments of chaos, wars, natural disasters, betrayals where fortunes were lost in the blink of an eye. Some were hidden intentionally, protected by traps or cryptic maps. Others were swallowed by the sea, buried under layers of sand, or locked away in chambers no one has entered for centuries. And here's the thrilling part, many of them are still out there, untouched, just waiting for the right explorer to uncover them. That's exactly what we're diving into today. This isn't just a list of shiny objects, it's a journey through time, a chance to walk in the footsteps of pirates, kings, and cunning thieves who left behind puzzles we're still trying to solve. Some of these treasures might be closer than we think, hidden in plain sight. Others might never be found, their legends growing taller with every passing year. But one thing's certain, each one holds a story that could rewrite history. So grab your metaphorical shovel, because we're about to uncover the 25 greatest lost treasures of all time, and trust me, you won't believe what's still missing. The first treasure on our list isn't just a chest of gold or a jeweled relic, it's a sacred artifact wrapped in divine mystery. The Ark of the Covenant, a gold-covered chest said to hold the original stone tablets of the Ten Commandments, isn't merely lost, it's vanished without a trace, leaving behind a trail of whispers, theories, and expeditions that span centuries. According to the Bible, this powerful object once rested in the holiest chamber of Solomon's temple in Jerusalem, radiating an almost supernatural presence. But after the Babylonians sacked the city in 586 BC, the Ark disappeared from recorded history, sparking a debate that continues to this day. Where could it have gone? Some believe it was smuggled away by priests before the invasion, hidden deep within a secret tunnel beneath the Temple Mount. Others argue it was taken to Ethiopia, where legend claims it now resides in a guarded chapel in the town of Axum. Then there's the wilder theory that it was seized by a shadowy order like the Knights Templar and hidden somewhere in Europe. But here's the strangest part, despite countless claims and searches, no one has ever produced definitive proof. Modern archaeologists and treasure hunters have scoured ancient texts, scanned underground chambers with radar, and even risked their lives exploring hidden caves, but the Ark remains elusive. What makes this treasure so captivating isn't just its religious significance, it's the tantalizing possibility that it still exists, tucked away in some forgotten corner of the world. Imagine uncovering an artifact that could rewrite our understanding of history, faith, and power. Could it be buried beneath the sands of Egypt, locked in a Vatican vault? Or perhaps, as some dare to suggest, it was never hidden at all, but taken by forces beyond our comprehension. Whatever the truth, the Ark of the Covenant stands as one of history's greatest enigmas, a treasure that refuses to be found. Now picture this: an empire's worth of gold, stacked in towering pyramids, gleaming under the Mexican sun. That's exactly what the Spanish conquistadors saw when they marched into Tenochtitlan in 1519, the heart of the Aztec Empire. Emperor Montezuma, ruler of a civilization rich beyond imagination, welcomed them as guests, but within months that hospitality turned to bloodshed, and in the chaos an entire treasure vanished. Not just a chest or a handful of jewels, we're talking about a hoard so vast it could have funded empires for decades. So where did it go? When Cortés and his men turned on the Aztecs, Montezuma's gold became the ultimate prize and the ultimate mystery. Some say the emperor's loyalists smuggled it out of the city under cover of night, hauling it north through secret tunnels or loading it onto barges across Lake Texcoco. Others believe it was sunk deliberately, dumped into the lake's depths to keep it from Spanish hands, but the most tantalizing theory that it was carried hundreds of miles, hidden somewhere in the deserts of northern Mexico or even the American Southwest. For centuries, treasure hunters have chased whispers of caves filled with golden idols or desert canyons where the glint of Aztec gold still catches the light. In the 1800s, a group of prospectors claimed to find a network of tunnels in Utah lined with Aztec markings and inside, human remains beside stacks of gold bars. More recently, archaeologists using ground-penetrating radar in Mexico City uncovered strange, man-made chambers beneath ancient ruins, sparking fresh speculation. Could one of them hold the missing hoard? The truth is, Montezuma's treasure isn't just about the gold, it's about the unanswered questions. Why would Cortés, a man obsessed with wealth, leave behind records complaining about missing riches if he'd truly captured it all? Why do indigenous oral histories speak of a final caravan vanishing into the wilderness? And if the treasure is still out there, what would it mean to uncover it? Not just a fortune, but a piece of history, stolen and silenced. The lost gold of Montezuma isn't just a treasure hunt, it's a reckoning. What if an entire room could vanish, a masterpiece not just stolen, but erased from history itself? That's the enigma of the Amber Room, an 18th century wonder so dazzling, it was dubbed the eighth wonder of the world. Imagine walls shimmering with 6 tons of golden amber, intricately carved and backed with gold leaf mirrored mosaics reflecting light like 1,000 tiny suns. This wasn't just a room, it was a treasure crafted over a decade by Prussian artisans, gifted to Russia's Peter the Great in 1716 as a symbol of alliance. For 2 centuries, it dazzled visitors in the Catherine Palace near St. Petersburg until the Nazis came knocking in 1941. When Hitler's forces invaded the Soviet Union, they didn't just loot the Amber Room, they dismantled it with chilling precision. Soldiers packed the panels into crates, shipped them to Königsberg Castle in Germany, and reassembled them as a trophy of conquest. But in 1945, as Allied bombs rained down and the Red Army closed in, the room vanished again. Some witnesses claimed it burned in the castle's ruins, its amber melting into smoke. Others swore it was loaded onto a ship or hidden in a secret bunker, whisked away by fleeing Nazis. Even Stalin's own investigators couldn't agree. Was it destroyed, or had it slipped into the shadows? The hunt for the Amber Room has never stopped. Treasure hunters have scoured salt mines, sunk probes into alpine lakes, and even followed cryptic clues from dying SS officers. In the 1990s, a fragment of an original mosaic surfaced in Germany, sold by a shadowy figure who claimed more pieces existed. Then came the rumors, a sunken steamer off Poland's coast, its hull packed with crates, a sealed chamber beneath a Czech monastery, even a covert US military operation smuggling it to America. Yet, despite decades of searches, the room's fate remains one of history's greatest riddles. Here's what makes this treasure so haunting: it's not just about the amber. It's about the arrogance of war, the fragility of beauty, and the stubborn hope that somewhere behind a false wall or buried in an unmarked grave, those golden panels still wait. Could they be hidden in plain sight, mislabeled in a museum basement, or did they truly turn to ash, leaving only whispers behind? Until someone finds proof, the Amber Room remains a ghost, a glittering phantom of what was lost. In 1820, as South America burned with the fires of revolution, a fortune beyond imagination vanished without a trace, and it wasn't just any treasure. The treasure of Lima was a king's ransom ripped from the heart of a crumbling empire. Solid gold statues of the Virgin Mary taller than a man, gem-studded crowns, chests overflowing with silver bars, and even the life-sized golden altarpiece of Lima's cathedral. This was the accumulated wealth of centuries, hauled to the docks in panic as Spanish loyalists fled rebel forces. But the man entrusted to spirit it to safety, British Captain William Thompson, made a decision that would etch his name into legend. He turned pirate, murdered the guards, and vanished with the loot. Theories swirl around Cocos Island, a speck of jungle-clad rock 300 miles off Costa Rica's coast. Thompson allegedly confessed on his deathbed that he buried the treasure there, leaving behind a map so cryptic it sparked 2 centuries of obsession. But here's the twist. Over 500 expeditions have combed every inch of that island, from its waterfalls to its caves, and not a single gold bar has surfaced. Some say Thompson lied, diverting attention while he hid the hoard elsewhere. Others believe it's still there, concealed in an underwater cavern or beneath layers of volcanic rock. The most tantalizing clue: in 1935, an American adventurer named August Gisler claimed to find a gold-plated sword hilt near a waterfall, exactly where Thompson's map suggested. But before he could dig deeper, a landslide sealed the site. Modern expeditions armed with sonar and ground-penetrating radar have detected strange metallic masses deep underground, yet legal battles and the island's protected status have stalled recovery. What makes this treasure hunt so electric isn't just the gold, it's the human drama. The mutiny, the coded maps, the whispers of curses. Even the famed novelist Robert Louis Stevenson reportedly modeled Treasure Island on the legend. And if the hoard is still out there, its value today, historians estimate over $200 million, not just in precious metal, but in priceless artifacts torn from a continent's history. The treasure of Lima isn't just hidden, it's a ghost daring the world to prove it ever existed at all. The crown jewels of Ireland weren't just symbols of monarchy, they were a glittering testament to centuries of rule, worn by kings and queens during their most sacred ceremonies. But in 1907, something unthinkable happened. These priceless artifacts, kept under lock and key in Dublin Castle's heavily guarded Bedford Tower, simply vanished. Not a forced entry, not a shattered display case, just an empty safe and a mystery that's never been solved. Who could have pulled it off? The jewels, a diamond-studded star, a ruby-encrusted badge, and a collar so heavy with gems it was said to weigh down the wearer, were last seen during a routine inspection. Days later, when officials returned, the safe was empty. Suspicion fell immediately on the castle staff, especially Francis Shackleton, brother to the famed explorer Ernest Shackleton. He'd been knighted just weeks before the theft and had access to the keys. But here's where it gets stranger. Despite interrogations and public outrage, no one was ever charged. Shackleton himself fled to Morocco, leaving behind whispers of debts and shady dealings. Others pointed to an inside job involving high-ranking officials, even suggesting the theft was staged to cover up a financial scandal. Then there's the fate of the jewels themselves. Some historians believe they were melted down within hours, their gems pried out and sold separately to avoid detection. A Dublin jeweler later claimed to have been offered the stolen stones but turned them away, fearing the law. Yet persistent rumors insist they survived intact, hidden away by thieves who panicked under scrutiny. One theory suggests they were smuggled to England and buried on an aristocrat's estate. Another claims they're sealed inside the walls of Dublin Castle itself, overlooked in plain sight. What makes this theft so haunting isn't just the audacity, it's the silence. No grand confession, no dramatic recovery, just a century of unanswered questions. Modern investigators have even revisited the case with forensic tools, scouring archives for overlooked clues. Could the jewels still be out there, waiting for someone to crack the code? Or did they vanish into the shadows of history, leaving behind only legends? One thing's certain, the crown jewels of Ireland remain one of the boldest heists ever pulled off, and one of the coldest cases on record. the Florentine diamond wasn't just a gem, it was a symbol of power passed between empires like a whispered secret. Originating from the Golconda mines of India, this massive 137-carat yellow diamond carried the fire of the sun in its facets. By the 1500s, it had made its way into the hands of the Medici family, those cunning patrons of the Renaissance who knew wealth wasn't just about gold but about prestige. Lodovico de' Medici wore it as a pendant, flaunting it as proof that Florence's influence stretched far beyond Italy's borders. But when the Medici line died out, the diamond didn't fade into obscurity. It climbed higher, landing in the treasure vaults of the Habsburgs, Europe's most relentless dynasty. For centuries, the Florentine glittered in the crowns and scepters of Austrian emperors, a golden eye watching over coronations and treaties. Then came 1918, the collapse of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and the diamond's sudden disappearance from recorded history. One theory claims it was smuggled out of Vienna by Emperor Charles I, hidden among his family's belongings as they fled to Switzerland. Another suggests it was seized by Hungarian revolutionaries, melted down, and sold off in pieces to fund their uprising. But the most persistent rumor, that it was quietly recut into smaller stones to disguise its identity, its brilliance now hiding in plain sight within a private collection. Here's where the trail heats up. In 1922, a diamond matching the Florentine's description surfaced briefly in Switzerland, only to vanish again. Decades later, a Johannesburg jeweler claimed to have examined a large yellow diamond brought in by an anonymous client, but before it could be authenticated, the owner withdrew it. Even more intriguing, in the 1980s, whispers circulated that a reclusive European aristocrat kept it locked away, viewing it not as a gem but as a relic of a lost world. What makes the Florentine's fate so captivating isn't just its carats, it's the question of legacy. Could such a legendary stone truly be reduced to fragments, or does it still exist whole, waiting for the right moment to resurface? Modern gemologists have attempted to reconstruct its likely cut and color, scanning old portraits and inventories for clues. Yet without a smoking gun, or in this case a glowing diamond, the truth remains as elusive as light trapped inside the stone itself. The Florentine diamond isn't just lost, it's a ghost of empire daring us to prove it's gone for good. The Knights Templar weren't just warriors, they were bankers, diplomats, and perhaps the wealthiest organization in medieval Europe. By the 13th century, their treasure vaults bulged with gold from kings, relics from the Crusades, and untold riches siphoned from their vast network of estates. Yet in 1307, when King Philip IV of France turned on them, ordering mass arrests and brutal executions, that fortune vanished overnight. Not a single coin from their legendary hoard was ever recovered. So where did it go? Some say the Templars saw their downfall coming. Days before the arrests, a convoy of wagons slipped out of Paris under cover of darkness, guarded by knights who knew their order's fate. According to whispers in French villages, the treasure was taken to the remote mountain stronghold of Montezuma, a Cathar fortress with tunnels rumored to stretch deep underground. Others insist it crossed the sea, hidden in Scotland under the protection of rebel clans, or even stashed in Nova Scotia's Oak Island, where centuries later, explorers would find strange, flood-trapped shafts dubbed the Money Pit. Then there's Rennes-le-Château, a sleepy French village that exploded into conspiracy lore in the 1950s. When a priest named Bérenger Saunière suddenly renovated his crumbling church with inexplicable wealth, theorists connected the dots. Had he found Templar gold buried beneath the altar? Coded parchments allegedly discovered in the church hinted at a secret, perhaps even the bloodline of Christ, but skeptics argue it was all an elaborate hoax. The truth may be simpler. Historians note that much of the Templars' wealth wasn't physical treasure but land and loans, assets Philip IV eagerly seized. Yet stubborn gaps remain. Why did the king's own records show only a fraction of their expected riches? Why do Templar trial transcripts mention missing ships last seen sailing toward Portugal? And why, even today, do treasure hunters still scour Templar sites from Cyprus to Canada, convinced the Order's legacy isn't just gold, but a secret so explosive it had to be buried? Perhaps the real treasure was never coins or jewels, but knowledge. The Templars were known to safeguard relics like the Holy Grail or documents threatening the Church's power. If they hid something that dangerous, no vault would ever be deep enough. Until someone uncovers proof, their hoard remains history's ultimate ghost, a fortune built on faith, lost in betrayal, and still waiting in the shadows. Deep in the jagged heart of Arizona's Superstition Mountains, where the sun bakes the rocks into shimmering mirages, lies a secret that's lured men to their doom for over a century. They call it the Lost Dutchman's Gold Mine, a fabled vein of gold so rich, prospectors whispered it could make a man wealthy beyond his wildest dreams. But here's the catch: no one who's ever claimed to find it has lived to tell the tale. This isn't just a treasure hunt, it's a ghost story written in dust and blood. The legend begins with Jacob Waltz, a German immigrant nicknamed the Dutchman, who stumbled upon the mine in the 1870s. On his deathbed, he allegedly drew a crude map, murmuring clues about a canyon shaped like a kneeling man, a shadow that pointed to the entrance at noon, and an army of Apache guardians who'd sworn to protect the site. But Waltz took the mine's exact location to his grave, and that's when the madness began. Treasure hunters poured into the superstitions, armed with picks, shovels, and a dangerous obsession. Some never returned. In 1947, a man named James Cravey's headless skeleton was found nestled in a crevice, his canteen still full. In 1975, a father and son vanished without a trace, their camp left eerily intact. Even today, park rangers tally up the disappearances like a grim ledger. So why does the Dutchman's legend endure? Part of it's the sheer impossibility of the terrain, a labyrinth of sheer cliffs and hidden gorges where a mine could vanish into the landscape. Then there's the science. Geologists confirm the superstitions do hold gold, left behind by ancient volcanic activity. Modern prospectors have scoured the range with drones, ground-penetrating radar, and even satellite imaging, uncovering strange mineral deposits that match Waltz's descriptions. But the most chilling theory, that the mine isn't lost at all. Locals whisper of a secret society descended from those Apache guardians who quietly erase any trace of intruders. The truth may be simpler. Greed twists men's minds. The superstitions don't need ghosts to be deadly. Flash floods, rattlesnakes, and 100-degree heat can kill as surely as any curse. Yet every year, new seekers arrive, lured by that golden mirage. Maybe the real treasure isn't gold at all, it's the enduring mystery, the thrill of the hunt, the question mark etched into the desert. Because in the end, the Dutchman's mine isn't just hiding in the rocks, it's hiding in us. In the dazzling world of lost treasures, few objects capture the collision of royal opulence and modern mystery quite like the Pachiala necklace. Crafted in 1928 by Cartier for Bhupinder Singh, the extravagant Maharaja of Pachiala, this wasn't just jewelry, it was a spectacle. Imagine a cascading 5-strand platinum necklace studded with 2,930 diamonds. Its centerpiece a lemon-sized 234-carat De Beers diamond, one of the largest cut gems ever known. It was a statement of imperial power, a glittering testament to India's princely states at their zenith. But by 1948, less than 2 decades after the Maharaja's death, the necklace vanished from the royal treasury, leaving behind whispers of theft, betrayal, and a trail of scattered diamonds across the globe. Theories about its fate are as intricate as the necklace itself. Some claim it was dismantled by the royal family during India's turbulent transition to independence, its stones sold off discreetly to fund political alliances or quiet escapes. Others point to a notorious heist in the 1960s when thieves allegedly broke into the Paciolo Palace vaults and stripped the necklace of its 7 largest stones, including the colossal De Beers diamond. The most tantalizing clue surfaced in 1982 when a Cartier employee spotted the necklace's platinum framework empty like a skeleton in a London antique shop. But the central gems gone without a trace. Then came the rumors. A Swiss dealer claimed to have handled the De Beers diamond in the 1990s, only for it to vanish into a private collection. Black market whispers spoke of the smaller diamonds being recut to mask their origin, circulating through underground auctions from Dubai to Macau. Even more intriguing, in 2003, Cartier painstakingly recreated the necklace using cubic zirconia and synthetic stones, a ghost of its former glory, as if mocking the world with what was lost. What makes this disappearance so haunting isn't just the value, it's the symbolism. The Paciolo necklace was a relic of an era when Maharajas rivaled kings, and Cartier's artisans treated gemstones like paint on a canvas. Today, its missing heartstones are more than just missing wealth, they're fragments of a lost world. Could they still be out there, hidden in a vault under a false name? Or were they shattered into oblivion, their history erased by greed? Until someone steps forward with proof, the necklace remains a glittering question mark, a masterpiece undone by time's quiet theft. Buried within the dusty caves of Qumran, among the ancient Dead Sea Scrolls, lies a mystery that defies categorization: the Copper Scroll. Unlike its fragile parchment counterparts filled with religious texts, this scroll is etched onto metal, as if the scribe wanted its message to endure. But here's the twist: it's not a spiritual treatise or a lost gospel. It's a treasure map, a detailed, bewildering inventory of 64 hiding places, listing unimaginable quantities of gold, silver, and sacred artifacts, all vanished without a trace. The question isn't just where these treasures are hidden, but whether they ever existed at all. At first glance, the scroll reads like a robber's fever dream. It mentions specific weights: 17 talents of silver here, 70 gold bars there, and cryptic landmarks like the Iron Valley or the Solomonic Aqueduct. Some entries are eerily precise. In the ruin at the mouth of the Kidron Valley, dig 3 cubits down. Others are maddeningly vague, under the black stone at the end of the tunnel. But the real enigma: many locations reference structures that didn't exist when the scroll was written around 2,000 years ago. Were these directions allegorical, part of a ritual? Or did the scribe encode them to mislead thieves? Modern scholars are torn. Some argue the scroll is a literal record of the Second Temple's wealth, hidden before the Romans sacked Jerusalem in 70 AD. Others dismiss it as folklore, a symbolic inventory of spiritual riches. Yet a few daring researchers have taken the clues seriously. In the 1950s, a team led by archaeologist John Allegro followed the scroll's directions to a Jordanian hillside, only to find an empty cistern. Later expeditions, armed with ground-penetrating radar and satellite imaging, have scanned ancient ruins near Jericho and the Dead Sea, uncovering intriguing voids but no definitive treasure. The most tantalizing theory involves the Knights Templar. Medieval records suggest they excavated beneath Jerusalem's Temple Mount during the Crusades, precisely where the Copper Scroll hints at hidden gold. Could they have found part of the hoard, explaining their sudden wealth? Or did they, like so many others, chase a ghost? Today, new technology offers fresh hope. AI-driven linguistic analysis is decoding archaic place names, while drone surveys pinpoint forgotten landmarks, but the scroll guards its secrets fiercely. Perhaps the real treasure isn't the gold itself, but the obsession it ignites, proof that even after 2 millennia, the allure of lost riches can still make us dig. The Romanovs didn't just rule Russia, they turned treasure into an art form. Among their most dazzling creations were the imperial Fabergé eggs, 50 exquisitely jeweled masterpieces crafted by the House of Fabergé between 1885 and 1916. Each egg concealed a hidden surprise, miniature portraits, clockwork songbirds, even a tiny replica of the royal carriage. But when revolution swept Russia in 1917, the Romanovs fell, and 7 of these eggs vanished into the chaos, sparking a century of obsession. Were they smashed in the fury of rebellion, smuggled out by loyalists, or are they sitting in plain sight, masquerading as mere antiques in some unsuspecting collector's vault? The missing eggs aren't just absent, they're enigmas wrapped in gold. Take the Nécessaire egg, a Swiss-made marvel with a collapsible manicure set inside. Last seen in 1922, it disappeared after being catalogued by Soviet officials who liquidated royal treasures to fund the new regime. Then there's the Royal Danish egg, a gift to the Tsar's mother, rumored to have been smuggled to England by a fleeing aristocrat. But the most tantalizing is the Alexander Roman III commemorative egg, its location unknown since the revolution, though whispers persist it was traded for weapons during the Russian Civil War. The hunt took a dramatic turn in 2014 when a scrap metal dealer in the American Midwest stumbled upon an egg at a flea market. After buying it for $14,000, thinking it was just a pretty trinket, he Googled its details and nearly fainted. It was the 3rd imperial egg, one of the lost Fabergé masterpieces, worth an estimated $33 million. Experts confirmed it was genuine, its surprise intact, a diamond-crusted lady's watch. How did it end up in the US? Likely sold off during Stalin's desperate auctions of confiscated art in the 1930s, then lost to time. This rediscovery fuels hope that other missing eggs still exist. Some scholars believe a handful survived destruction by being mislabeled in Soviet storage, their true identity overlooked. Others argue they're hidden in private collections, their owners unaware or unwilling to reveal their prize. A few conspiracy theorists even suggest Stalin kept some as bargaining chips stashed in a KGB vault. But the darkest possibility, that several were melted down for their gold and gems, their artistry reduced to bullion. What makes these eggs so compelling isn't just their opulence, it's the stories they carry. Each one is a time capsule of Imperial Russia's final glittering days, a reminder of how quickly beauty can be scattered to the winds. The 7 that remain lost aren't just treasures, they're ghosts of a fallen dynasty, daring the world to find them. And if one could surface in a Midwestern flea market, who's to say the others aren't waiting quietly for their moment to shine again? The sea has a way of keeping its secrets, but none as tantalizing as the treasure still trapped in the wreck of the Nuestra Señora de Atocha. In 1622, this Spanish galleon was the crown jewel of a fleet sailing from Havana to Spain, its hull crammed with an empire's worth of wealth. 24 tons of silver ingots, 180,000 coins, emeralds the size of fists, and gold bars stamped with the royal seal. Then, in the blink of an eye, a hurricane slammed the Atocha onto the coral reefs off the Florida Keys, sending it to the bottom with nearly all hands lost. The ship took most of its treasure with it, vanishing into the sand like a phantom. For centuries, divers whispered of its legend, but the ocean refused to give up its prize until one man became obsessed with finding it. Mel Fisher wasn't just a treasure hunter, he was a force of nature. For 16 years, he combed the waters off Key West with sonar, magnetometers, and a gut instinct that bordered on supernatural. He faced hurricanes, lawsuits, and even the unimaginable, losing his son and daughter-in-law when their salvage boat capsized during the search. But in 1985, Fisher's team finally struck gold. Literally, their fingers brushed against a rocky seabed, only to realize the rocks were silver bars, stacked as neatly as the day they'd been loaded. Then came the emeralds, spilling like green fire from the sand, and the coins, so pristine their mint dates glinted in the sunlight. The find was staggering, over $400 million worth of treasure, the motherlode of all shipwrecks. But here's the twist: the Atocha's stern castle, the ship's rear section where the richest cargo was stored, was never found. Fisher's discovery was just the appetizer. According to Spanish manifests, the missing section holds the real prize, 70 more silver bars, chests of untouched coins, and a shipment of Muso emeralds so rare they'd rewrite gemstone history. Modern salvage teams armed with cutting-edge submersibles and 3D mapping tech have picked up where Fisher left off. They've found tantalizing clues, a gold chain here, a silver fork there, hinting that the stern might lie just a few hundred yards from the main wreck, buried under centuries of sediment. What makes this treasure hunt so electrifying isn't just the money, it's the clock. Florida's courts ruled that Fisher's family retains exclusive rights to the wreck, but only until 2025. After that, the Atocha becomes fair game, a free-for-all for any adventurer with a boat and a dream. The pressure's on, and every storm that churns the sand could reveal the final piece of the puzzle. Will the Sterncastle's gold finally surface, or will the sea keep its greatest prize forever? One thing's certain, the Atocha isn't just a shipwreck. It's a siren's call, daring us to dive deeper. Some shipwrecks fade into legend, but the San Miguel refuses to be forgotten. In July 1715, this Spanish galleon sailed as part of the doomed treasure fleet, 11 ships crammed with gold, silver, and jewels ripped from the New World's vein. Their cargo was so immense, modern estimates put its value at nearly $400 million today. Then, just days out from Havana, a hurricane tossed the fleet onto Florida's reefs like toys. The San Miguel, carrying the fleet's single richest haul, vanished completely, not a single survivor, not a single scrap of wreckage recovered. For centuries, its fate remained one of the ocean's most tantalizing secrets. But in 2001, salvors working off Vero Beach stumbled upon something extraordinary: scattered silver coins bearing the exact mint marks of the 1715 fleet. Then came emerald fragments, a gold ring stamped with Spanish hallmarks, and finally, the smoking gun, a cannon matching the San Miguel's armaments. The wreck wasn't lost. It had been hiding in plain sight, its treasure scattered across the seabed by centuries of storms. What makes this discovery so explosive isn't just the treasure, it's the legal firestorm that followed. Under U.S. law, salvors can claim a percentage of recovered wrecks, but Spain insists the San Miguel remains sovereign property. Court battles have raged for over a decade, with archaeologists warning that commercial salvage could destroy vital historical context. Meanwhile, treasure hunters argue the wreck's artifacts risk being lost forever to erosion if not recovered now, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The San Miguel's manifest lists over 150 chests of silver coins, 3 tons of gold bars, and a hoard of Colombian emeralds, much still unaccounted for. Recent sonar scans reveal tantalizing anomalies buried under 10 feet of sand, possibly the ship's main treasure hold. But with legal gridlock stalling recovery, the clock is ticking. Each passing hurricane season could scatter the wreck's secrets further into oblivion. Perhaps the greatest irony, the San Miguel's treasure was meant to fund Spain's war against Britain, a conflict that would shape the New World's future. Now, as divers and historians clash over its remnants, the wreck continues to shape history, just not in the way anyone expected. Its gold might still be out there, but the real prize is the story, waiting to be pieced together one coin at a time. The SS Republic wasn't just another casualty of the sea. It was a floating bank vault caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. In October 1865, this Civil War-era steamship chugged away from New York, its belly stuffed with a fortune meant to rebuild post-war New Orleans, $400,000 in gold and silver coins, enough to bankroll an entire city's recovery. Then, just off the coast of Georgia, a hurricane slammed into the ship like a cannon volley. Passengers clung to lifeboats as the Republic listed violently, its precious cargo sliding into the depths. Within hours, the storm swallowed every trace, no survivors, no wreckage, just a cloud of bubbles marking where a fortune had vanished. For over a century, the Republic's treasure was a ghost story whispered among divers. Then came Odyssey Marine Exploration, a team armed with technology straight out of a spy novel. In 2003, their deep-sea robots prowled the seabed 100 miles off Savannah, probing the darkness with sonar until they spotted a glint. Not just coins, thousands of them, strewn across the ocean floor like a pirate's dream. Gold $20 double eagles minted during the war, silver half-dollars still bearing the stains of gunpowder from Union payrolls, even rare proof coins destined for wealthy collectors. The haul was staggering, but here's what's wild. Odyssey's recovery only scratched the surface. Ship manifests reveal the Republic was also carrying private shipments, jewelry, personal fortunes, even unregistered coins stashed by nervous merchants. Divers have since found pocket watches frozen at the exact moment the ship sank, their hands forever pointing to the hour of disaster, but the real mystery. The gold. While Odyssey recovered most of the silver, they've only accounted for half the gold coins. Some historians believe the heaviest gold ingots sank straight into the sediment, buried under layers of sand. Others think passengers might have jettisoned chests in a desperate bid to lighten the ship, scattering treasure across a much wider area. Then there's the human angle. This wasn't just money lost, it was life savings, war reparations, futures snuffed out in an instant. One recovered coin bears teeth marks, likely from a passenger trying to test its authenticity as the ship went down. Another was found clutched in the grip of a child's shoe, a heartbreaking snapshot of desperation. Every artifact tells a story, and that's why modern archaeologists are racing against time. The wreck lies in the path of shifting currents that could erase it for good. Will the remaining gold surface before the sea claims it forever? Or will the Republic keep its darkest secrets locked away, a silent witness to history's ruthless tides? The Merchant Royal wasn't just a ship, it was a floating kingdom of gold, a vessel so overloaded with treasure, its crew joked the weight alone might sink it. And in 1641, off the coast of Cornwall, that dark humor became prophecy. A storm cracked the hull, sending the ship and its impossible cargo, gold, silver, and jewels worth over $1 billion today, plummeting into the abyss. For centuries, the wreck's exact location remained one of the ocean's best-kept secrets, its legend growing with every failed salvage attempt. But in 2007, a team from Odyssey Marine Exploration made a discovery that sent shockwaves through the treasure-hunting world, a trail of silver coins leading straight to the grave of the El Dorado of the seas. The numbers alone are staggering. Historical records list the Merchant Royal's cargo as 100,000 pounds of gold, 400 bars of Mexican silver, and enough precious stones to ransom a dozen kings. But what makes this wreck so tantalizing isn't just its wealth, it's the drama of its final hours. Captain John Limbury, realizing his ship was doomed, reportedly lashed the treasure chests together, hoping to keep them from scattering. Did that desperate act preserve the hoard intact, creating a sunken vault just waiting to be cracked? Modern technology has only deepened the mystery. Side-scan sonar revealed a debris field stretching nearly a mile, suggesting the ship broke apart violently. Yet Odyssey's initial recovery, 17 tons of silver coins and artifacts, hinted at something even bigger lurking in the depths. Then came the legal battle. Spain, citing colonial-era ownership laws, sued for rights to the treasure, claiming the silver was mined in their New World territories. The case dragged on for years, a courtroom duel over who truly owns history's spoils. But here's the twist: the coins Odyssey found were just the overflow. The Merchant Royal's main treasure hold, where the gold and emeralds were stored, still hasn't been located. Recent expeditions using robotic submersibles have detected magnetic anomalies near the wreck site. Could those signals be the missing gold bars, their metallic hum muffled by centuries of silt? Or are they just ghostly echoes teasing hunters with false hope? What makes this treasure hunt so electrifying isn't just the potential payoff, it's the human stakes. The Merchant Royal's gold was meant to bankroll England's war against Spain, a conflict that shaped the New World. If that wealth had reached London, history might have unfolded differently. Now, lying in the dark, it's a reminder of how quickly power can slip through our fingers. Every coin recovered is a piece of that story, a glimmer of a moment when empires trembled and the sea claimed its due. The question isn't just whether the rest will be found, it's who will rewrite history when it is. On the night of May 15, 1904, the Russian battleship Moskva met its fate in the icy waters off the Korean coast, but its sinking wasn't just a military disaster. It was the beginning of a treasure mystery that's lasted over a century. As shells from Japanese warships rained down during the Battle of the Yellow Sea, the Moskva listed violently, its hull breached and its decks engulfed in flames. Survivors claimed the ship was carrying more than artillery that night. Whispers spoke of gold bullion, imperial rubles, and even the personal fortune of Admiral Stepan Makarov, all destined to fund Russia's war effort. Yet when the Moskva slipped beneath the waves, none of that treasure surfaced again. Theories about its cargo range from plausible to outright sensational. Russian naval records from the era mention a shipment of gold coins meant for portside payments, but some historians argue the Moskva was secretly transporting a far larger hoard. Perhaps funds diverted from Vladivostok's treasury or bribes intended for Chinese warlords. A Japanese officer's diary from the battle references glinting metal spilling from the ship's ruptured hold as it sank, fueling speculation. Yet despite decades of searches, no definitive proof has emerged. Locating the wreck is only half the battle. The Moskva rests in fiercely contested waters near Korea's maritime border, where salvage operations risk igniting diplomatic tensions. South Korea's Coast Guard patrols the area aggressively, wary of illegal dredging, while North Korea has allegedly dispatched its own shadowy salvage teams in the past. Even if someone pinpointed the wreck, extracting anything would require navigating a legal labyrinth involving Russia's claim to military wrecks, Korean sovereignty disputes, and international maritime laws. Modern technology offers tantalizing possibilities. Side-scan sonar has identified several large wrecks in the area, one matching the Moskva's dimensions. But the seabed here is a treacherous mix of shifting currents and silt that could have buried the hull, and any treasure under layers of sediment. Divers who have ventured down describe visibility so poor they could be swimming through ink. Perhaps the greatest irony, if the Moskva's gold exists, it was meant to prolong a war Russia was already losing. Today, it lies as a relic of imperial ambition, a prize as elusive as the empire that lost it. Until someone braves the depths, and the geopolitical storm above the Moskva's secrets will stay locked beneath the waves, a treasure written in whispers and war. In December 1978, a crew of thieves pulled off one of the boldest heists in American history and vanished with almost $5 million in untraceable cash. This wasn't some Hollywood fantasy. It was the Lufthansa heist, a meticulously planned robbery at New York's Kennedy Airport that left authorities stunned and the mafia's upper ranks whispering. The target, a cargo terminal where cash from Germany's Lufthansa Airlines was stored, fresh off overnight flights from Europe. The take, $500,000 in untraceable bills, plus a mountain of jewelry and securities, all scooped up in under an hour by a team wearing ski masks and carrying military-grade weapons. But here's the twist: most of that money was never seen again. The robbery had all the hallmarks of a mob operation, and for good reason. Jimmy Burke, a notorious Lucchese crime family associate, was the mastermind, recruiting a crew of seasoned criminals who knew the airport's vulnerabilities. They struck just before dawn, bypassing alarms and overpowering guards with chilling efficiency. At first, the haul seemed like a score straight out of a gangster's dream, until things got messy. Witnesses started turning up dead. One of the thieves bragged too loudly at a bar and was found frozen in a meat truck. Another was shot in the head while watching television. Within months, almost everyone connected to the heist had been silenced, their bodies dumped in alleys or buried in shallow graves. So where did the money go? The FBI recovered less than $50,000, a drop in the ocean compared to the total haul. Some agents believe Burke funneled most of it through Las Vegas casinos, where mob-controlled fronts could launder it clean. Others think it was stashed in safe houses across New York, only for those locations to be lost as the killers picked off the crew one by one. The wildest theory: that a corrupt cop or federal agent helped spirit the cash away, using insider knowledge to stay ahead of the investigation. The heist's legacy lingers in pop culture. Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas immortalized it, but the real treasure remains a ghost. In 2013, federal agents dug up a Brooklyn home based on a tip, hoping to find buried cash. They came up empty. Another lead pointed to a storage unit in Florida, but by the time authorities arrived, it had been cleared out. With Burke dead and most of his accomplices gone, the truth might never surface. That's the cruel irony of the Lufthansa heist. The ones who pulled it off never got to enjoy it, and the fortune they risked everything for is still out there, waiting for someone to crack the code. Off the fog-shrouded coast of Nova Scotia lies an island that's consumed fortunes, shattered dreams, and lured treasure hunters into its grasp for over 200 years. Oak Island doesn't look like much at first glance, just a few hundred acres of pine trees and rocky shoreline. But beneath its unassuming surface, a labyrinth of tunnels, flood traps, and cryptic stone markers has convinced generations of explorers that something extraordinary is buried there. They call it the Money Pit, and it might just be the world's most infamous treasure hunt. The madness began in 1795, when a teenage boy named Daniel Maginnis spotted a strange depression in the ground beside an old oak tree, its branches marked with unnatural notches. Digging down, he hit layers of oak logs at precise 10-foot intervals, clearly man-made. By 30 feet, his shovel struck a slab of stone inscribed with odd symbols, igniting rumors of coded directions. But as word spread and excavations deepened, the pit fought back. At 90 feet, workers struck a layer of ship's putty and coconut fiber, a bizarre combination that suggested waterproofing. Then disaster water burst in, flooding the shaft overnight. No matter how they tried to pump it out, the pit filled faster than they could bail. Someone had engineered this place to protect its secret. So what's down there? Theories range from the plausible to the fantastical. Some believe it's the lost treasure of Captain Kidd, the infamous pirate who allegedly boasted of burying a fortune beyond kings before his execution. Others think it's the exiled Knights Templar who may have smuggled the Holy Grail or even the Ark of the Covenant to North America, the wildest claim. That Francis Bacon's original Shakespearean manuscripts are sealed in a watertight vault, proof of his true authorship, but the most compelling clues come from modern technology. Core samples drilled in the 1960s brought up strands of gold chain and fragments of parchment, tiny, tantalizing hints that something valuable waits below. Yet Oak Island guards its secrets ruthlessly. 6 lives have been lost to collapsing tunnels and flooding. Millions of dollars have vanished into failed excavations. Even today, with satellite imaging and underground sonar, the pit defies understanding. The latest team, featured on the History Channel's The Curse of Oak Island, has uncovered artifacts that rewrite the island's timeline: a medieval cross, Roman-era coins, and a human bone carbon dated to the 1600s. Each discovery raises more questions. Who built this? Why go to such lengths to hide it? And what could possibly justify 2 centuries of obsession? Perhaps the real treasure isn't gold or manuscripts, it's the mystery itself. Oak Island has become a mirror, reflecting back whatever we project onto it: pirate fantasies, historical conspiracies, even the thrill of the unsolved. Every shovel that strikes Earth, every pump that battles seawater, is part of a story much bigger than treasure. It's a story about why we hunt, why we believe, and what we're willing to risk for the chance, however slim. that something extraordinary lies just beyond our grasp. And until someone finally cracks the money pit's code, that story isn't over. Imagine stumbling upon a locked box containing 3 sheets of coded numbers, no key, no instructions, just a promise of buried treasure somewhere in the Virginia hills. That's exactly what happened in the 1820s when a man named Thomas Beale handed a local innkeeper a small iron box before vanishing forever. Inside were pages of numbers accompanied by a letter claiming they revealed the location of a hoard worth millions today. Gold, silver, and jewels dug up from the American West and hidden for safekeeping. But here's the catch: only one of the 3 codes has ever been cracked, and even that solution raises more questions than answers. The deciphered sheet, known as Beale Cipher number 2, used the Declaration of Independence as a key. Each number corresponded to a word in the document's text, with the first letter of that word spelling out a message. The result, a vague description of the treasure's contents: gold weighing over 2.5 tons, silver nearly 4 times that amount, and precious stones hauled from a spot near Santa Fe. But without the keys to the other 2 ciphers, one supposedly revealing the treasure's exact location, the other listing its rightful owners, the hunt stalled. For 2 centuries, cryptographers and treasure hunters have thrown everything at the remaining codes, from advanced algorithms to sheer brute force, yet the ciphers refuse to yield. Skeptics argue the whole story might be an elaborate hoax. The Beale Papers, a pamphlet published in 1885 that first publicized the ciphers, reads more like a dime store novel than a factual account. Its author, an anonymous figure known only as the Friend, claimed to have transcribed Beale's tale from memory decades after hearing it. Hardly a reliable chain of custody. Even the solved cipher raises eyebrows. Why would Beale use the Declaration of Independence for just 1 code but leave the other 2 unbreakable? And if the treasure was real, why has no trace of its excavation tools, camp remnants, or disturbed earth ever been found near the alleged Virginia site? Yet the allure persists. Modern codebreakers note that the unsolved ciphers exhibit statistical patterns consistent with genuine encryption, not random gibberish. Some believe Beale employed a more complex cipher for the remaining sheets, perhaps using multiple key documents or a cipher wheel. Others speculate the treasure's real location isn't in Virginia at all, that the decoded message was a red herring, and the true coordinates lie hidden in the numbers still unread. The most tantalizing theory, that the Beale ciphers aren't about treasure at all, but something far more explosive. A few researchers suggest they could conceal early clues to a secret society's operations, or even evidence of a lost colonial-era mining operation. Until someone cracks the remaining codes or unearths a chest of gold in Bedford County, the Beale mystery remains a riddle wrapped in numbers, daring us to dig deeper. Deep in the desert mountains of New Mexico lies a secret that sparked gunfights, government raids, and a legal battle stretching over 80 years. Victoria Peak isn't just another landmark, it's the heart of a treasure legend so volatile, it's been sealed off by the U.S. Army, scrutinized by the FBI, and fought over in courtrooms to this day. The story begins in 1937, when a man named Milton Doc Noss claimed to discover a hidden cavern inside the peak, its walls glittering with gold bars, Spanish armor, and chests of coins. But what should have been the find of the century quickly spiraled into a saga of betrayal, violence, and bureaucratic shadow games that still hasn't been resolved. Doc Noss wasn't a professional treasure hunter, he was a foot doctor turned accidental explorer. While hiking the rugged terrain, he noticed a strange air current emanating from a crevice. After widening the opening, he allegedly rappelled into a cavern stacked with artifacts, religious statues, colonial-era weapons, and gold ingots stamped with Spanish royal seals. Some estimates placed the hoard's value at over $2 billion today, though skeptics argue Noss exaggerated his claims. What's undeniable is what happened next. When NOS tried to secure mining rights, the US government declared the land part of the White Sands Missile Range, a sudden designation that barred civilians from accessing the area. Then came the mysterious explosions. Witnesses reported hearing dynamite blasts inside the peak in the 1950s, with rumors swirling that the army intentionally collapsed the tunnels to bury the treasure. The legal fight over Victorio Peak reads like a thriller. NOS's descendants, along with other claimants, have spent decades battling for the right to excavate. Declassified documents revealed army personnel admitting to recovering unknown quantities of gold from the peak in the 1970s, yet officials denied any large-scale discovery. Then there's the baffling case of NOS Doc's wife, who was shot dead in 1949 under murky circumstances during a dispute over the treasure's ownership. The killer, a business partner of NOS, was acquitted, leaving the tragedy unresolved. Modern technology has only deepened the mystery. Ground-penetrating radar scans commissioned by treasure hunters in the 1990s detected unnatural voids inside the peak chambers that match NOS's descriptions. Yet every attempt to dig has been blocked by military restrictions or legal injunctions. The most persistent theory that the cavern held not just Spanish gold, but artifacts from an even older source, perhaps Aztec loot or pre-colonial treasures hidden by indigenous tribes. Others suggest the government's interest wasn't about gold at all, but something far more sensitive. The question isn't just whether Victorio Peak holds treasure, it's whether we'll ever be allowed to know. With the site still under military control and court battles raging, the mountain keeps its secrets locked behind layers of bureaucracy and speculation. For every believer who staked their life on finding the truth, there's a counterclaim calling it all an elaborate myth. But one thing's certain: until someone drills past the collapsed tunnels or forces full disclosure from government vaults, Victorio Peak remains the ultimate tease, a golden rumor wrapped in desert stone. Beneath the glassy surface of Austria's Lake Toplitz lies a secret so explosive, even the depths can't keep it buried. This secluded alpine lake, surrounded by dense forests and sheer cliffs, isn't just a scenic wonder, it's a watery vault for one of the most enduring Nazi treasure mysteries of all time. As World War II crumbled around them, high-ranking SS officers reportedly dumped crates of stolen gold, counterfeit British pounds, and even secret weapons blueprints into the lake's icy waters, hoping to retrieve them later. But some secrets sink deeper than intended. The first clues surfaced in 1959 when divers recovered over 30 crates from the lake bed, not filled with gold, but with millions of forged British banknotes, part of Hitler's Operation Bernhard to destabilize Allied economies. Yet local legends insisted this was just the beginning. Fishermen spoke of seeing Nazi trucks backed up to the shore under cover of darkness in the war's final days, their cargo disappearing beneath the waves with no records left behind. Then came the eerie discoveries. Submerged trees intentionally felled to create an underwater obstacle course, their branches tangling divers' lines as if the lake itself resisted intrusion. What makes Lake Toplitz so treacherous isn't just its depth, it's the layers of deception. The lake's unique geology creates a dead zone below 60 meters, where oxygen vanishes and decomposition stalls, preserving whatever lies in the murk. Modern expeditions have faced bizarre setbacks, equipment failures, unexplained sonar shadows, and even rumors of booby traps. In 2001, a team sponsored by CBS News hauled up a crate only to find it packed with harmless rocks, a decoy planted to mislead. The most tantalizing theory, that the real payload gold looted from Jewish families and occupied nations was sunk farther out, where the lake plunges to 103 meters beyond the reach of early divers. Recent side scan sonar has revealed unnatural shapes resting in the abyss, but Austrian law strictly prohibits salvage, treating the site as a war grave. The few artifacts recovered, Nazi insignia, rusted weapon parts, hint at a darker truth. This isn't just about treasure, It's about a regime's last desperate act to erase its crimes. Until the lake gives up its final secrets, the legend grows. Are those sonar blips stacked ingots or just boulders? Did the counterfeit money distract from something far more valuable? Or does Lake Toplitz guard nothing at all, just the ghosts of men who thought they could outrun history? One thing's certain, in these silent waters, the past isn't gone. It's waiting. The final days of World War II weren't just about surrender, they were about secrets buried in blood and fire. As American forces closed in on Japan in 1945, General Tomoyuki Yamashita, the Tiger of Malaya, allegedly orchestrated one of history's greatest treasure heists. Across Southeast Asia, Japanese forces had spent years looting temples, banks, and museums, amassing a hoard of gold bars, gemstones, and priceless artifacts. But with defeat looming, the treasure couldn't be shipped home. Instead, whispers spread of a frantic operation to hide it all in a network of tunnels beneath the Philippines. By the time Yamashita faced execution for war crimes, his treasure had vanished along with the truth. The legend centers on intricate underground labyrinths near Baguio City, where engineers reportedly fortified natural caves into impenetrable vaults. Some tunnels were said to be booby-trapped with explosives or poison gas, while others collapsed deliberately to entomb their secrets. A few who claimed to have worked on the project spoke of golden Buddhas taller than a man, chests of platinum ingots, and crates of looted art from across Asia. But after the war, official records fell strangely silent. That is, until 1971, when Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos suddenly declared a state of gold fever. Marcos's involvement turned rumor into geopolitical drama. He issued presidential decrees granting himself exclusive rights to recover wartime treasure, while his associates spoke of staggering discoveries. One contractor claimed to have witnessed gold bars stacked like firewood in a cave, only for the site to be seized by military personnel. Another story described Marcos's inner circle melting down ancient gold artifacts into untraceable ingots, funneling them through Swiss banks. The smoking gun. In 1986, after Marcos was ousted, investigators found bullion certificates in his palace worth billions. Yet the physical gold was nowhere to be found. Modern treasure hunters face a maze of legal and logistical nightmares. The Philippine government still issues exploration permits, but the process is fraught with corruption claims and bureaucratic traps. In 2018, a team working under permits spent months digging near a suspected tunnel entrance, only to have their site abruptly shut down by officials citing national security. Meanwhile, indigenous communities tell darker stories of laborers forced to dig tunnels in 1945, then executed to protect the secret. Their oral histories describe caves sealed with concrete, their locations lost when the survivors fled. Technology offers tantalizing glimpses. Ground-penetrating radar has detected unnatural voids beneath the jungle, while sonar scans of underwater caves show metallic anomalies matching gold's density. Yet every discovery raises more questions. Could Marcos have truly recovered most of the treasure, leaving only scraps, or are the tunnels still packed with loot, guarded by skeletons and half-century-old explosives? Perhaps the most chilling possibility is that Yamashita's gold was never about wealth but leverage. Some historians suggest the treasure map was traded to the US in exchange for immunity for certain war criminals, making the whole story a shadow deal between empires. What remains is a puzzle wrapped in nationalism and greed. The few verified artifacts: a Japanese army dagger encrusted with gems, a handful of gold coins unearthed by farmers, hint at something vast lying just out of reach. But in the Philippines, where whispers of hidden gold can still spark riots, the truth may be too dangerous to dig up. Yamashita's treasure isn't just lost, it's a ghost that haunts an entire nation, promising riches while burying its past in unmarked graves. Beneath the muddy currents of Poland's Vistula River lies a legend wrapped in copper and mystery, a sunken ship so extraordinary its very existence blurs the line between history and folklore. They call it the Copper Ship, a vessel allegedly clad in gleaming metal plates, its hold brimming with the treasures of Polish kings. According to whispers dating back to the 17th century, this royal barge was lost during a storm or ambush, vanishing into the river's depths with a fortune in gold, silver, and priceless artifacts. For centuries, it was little more than a fireside tale until modern technology dragged it back into the light. The breakthrough came in 2018 when sonar scans near Warsaw revealed a long, narrow object buried in the riverbed, its dimensions eerily close to descriptions of the fabled ship. Even more compelling, readings suggested metallic plating, something far beyond ordinary wooden hulls of the era. Archaeologists from the University of Warsaw scrambled to investigate, their magnetometers picking up strong signals of non-ferrous metal, exactly what you'd expect from copper. Diver probes soon confirmed the outline of a nearly 40-foot vessel, remarkably intact beneath layers of silt. But here's where the mystery deepens. Initial excavations recovered not gold, but fragments of copper sheeting and ornate wood carvings, suggesting this was no ordinary cargo ship. It was something built for prestige, possibly even royalty. Historical records from the 1600s mention King Sigismund III Vossa's extravagant river processions, where barges laden with treasures traveled between Warsaw and Krakow. One account tells of a disastrous voyage where a metal-skinned ship foundered in a storm, taking down gifts for foreign ambassadors, jeweled swords, Ottoman silks, even a clockwork globe rumored to predict eclipses. But skeptics argue the sonar discovery could just be a coincidental barge, its copper fittings inflated into legend by wishful thinking. After all, the Vistula was a bustling trade route. Why would a treasure ship leave no written salvage attempts? Yet the river guards its secrets fiercely. Unlike ocean wrecks, freshwater preservation can be astonishing. Wood stays intact, metals resist corrosion, and artifacts remain sealed in anaerobic mud. The excavation team's biggest challenge isn't just depth, but the Vistula's notorious currents, which threaten to rebury the site faster than they can dig. Their strategy, a delicate combination of dredging and 3D mapping, hoping to pinpoint any sealed compartments where treasures might have survived, the wild card. Poland's National Museum has quietly allocated funds for cultural recovery, hinting they know more than they've shared. One theory suggests the ship's cargo wasn't just gifts but smuggled royal reserves, a hedge against Sweden's invasion during the deluge. If true, its discovery could rewrite chapters of Polish history. Until then, the copper ship remains a ghost in the sonar scans, a riddle wrapped in metal, daring us to prove whether it's a king's ransom or the river's most beautiful lie. In the dense forests of southwestern Poland, near the town of Wolbozich, a legend has simmered for decades, one that exploded back into the headlines in 2015 with a claim so bold, it sent treasure hunters and historians into a frenzy. Two men, a Pole and a German, swore they'd found the fabled Nazi gold train, an armored locomotive supposedly buried in a hidden tunnel during the dying days of World War II. According to lore, this wasn't just any train. It was a mobile vault packed with 300 tons of gold, jewels, and priceless art looted from the Soviet Union as the Third Reich crumbled. But was this a genuine discovery or just another chapter in a decades-old myth? The story begins in 1945 as the Red Army closed in on Nazi-occupied Poland. Desperate to keep their plunder from falling into Soviet hands, high-ranking SS officers allegedly commandeered a train, loaded it with the contents of the Reichsbank reserves and the legendary Amber Room panels, and sent it hurtling into a network of secret tunnels beneath the Owl Mountains. Then the exits were dynamited shut, sealing the treasure and its secrets underground. For years, eyewitnesses claimed to have seen the train being loaded or heard explosions as the tunnels collapsed. But without physical proof, the tale faded into local folklore until those two treasure hunters stepped forward with ground-penetrating radar images showing an anomalous train-shaped object buried 30 feet below the surface. Suddenly, the world took notice. Poland's Deputy Minister of Culture even publicly declared he was 99% sure the train existed. Geologists and engineers descended on the site, conducting their own scans. The results were tantalizing but inconclusive: magnetic anomalies consistent with a large metal object, but also natural mineral deposits that could mimic a train's signature. Then came the complications. The site sat near a former Nazi bunker complex called Project Reese, a labyrinth of tunnels so vast and poorly mapped, even modern explorers routinely discover new passages. Could the train actually be a collapsed tunnel or forgotten wartime machinery? Historians added another layer of skepticism. While the Nazis did loot staggering amounts of treasure from the USSR, meticulous German records show most of the Reichsbank gold was moved west, not buried in Poland. As for the Amber Room, its last known location was Königsberg, now Kaliningrad, hundreds of miles away. And then there's the logistics. Hiding an entire train requires an engineering feat. Tunnels wide and tall enough to accommodate a locomotive would have left obvious surface scars, yet no definitive wartime blueprints or eyewitness accounts of such construction have surfaced. But here's where the story twists. Even if this specific train is a mirage, Project Reese's tunnels are very real, and they've yielded treasures before. In 1946, Polish authorities recovered a hoard of silverware and church bells stashed by fleeing Nazis. In the 1960s, a cache of counterfeit British pounds from Operation Bernhard turned up in a nearby shaft. Could the gold train legend be conflating multiple smaller caches, or is there a nugget of truth buried under decades of exaggeration? The Wolbazich hunt stalled when excavations failed to find anything beyond wartime debris, but the fascination hasn't faded. Modern explorers now use LiDAR and thermal imaging to scan the area, while historians comb through declassified Soviet archives for clues. Perhaps the real treasure isn't gold at all, but the enduring mystery, a reminder that even in our age of satellites and sensors, the Earth still keeps secrets. After all, if a 300-ton train can vanish into thin air, what else might be waiting in the shadows? The world of hidden treasures isn't just confined to ancient shipwrecks and lost empires. Sometimes, the most captivating hunts are the ones born from pure, eccentric whimsy. Enter Forrest Fenn, a flamboyant art dealer, former fighter pilot, and self-described raconteur who, in 2010, sparked a modern-day gold rush by hiding a bronze chest worth over $2 million somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. This wasn't some dusty legend passed down through generations. It was a deliberate, real-life treasure hunt crafted by a man who wanted to inspire adventure. Inside the chest, gold coins, pre-Columbian artifacts, rare gemstones, and even a tiny vial of Fenn's autobiography rolled up like a scroll. But the real prize wasn't the treasure itself, it was the chase. Fenn dropped clues in a poem published in his memoir, The Thrill of the Chase, a cryptic 24-line riddle that sent tens of thousands of hopeful hunters scrambling across 4 states. Some lines seemed straightforward: begin it where warm waters halt, while others, like, if you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down, your prize to gaze, felt ripped from a fairy tale. The result, a decade of obsession. People quit jobs, drained savings accounts, and even died in pursuit of the chest, their desperation a stark contrast to Fenn's playful intentions. The hunt became a cultural phenomenon, spawning online forums, documentaries, and bitter rivalries among searchers who believed they'd cracked the code. Then, in 2020, the impossible happened. A medical student from Michigan named Jack Stoof, after years of meticulous research, unearthed the chest in Wyoming's rugged wilderness. Fenn, then 90 years old, confirmed the find just months before his death, a poetic full circle for a man who'd survived a terminal cancer diagnosis decades earlier and hid the treasure as a legacy. But with the discovery came controversy. Many hunters cried foul, accusing Stoof of cheating or even colluding with Fenn. Lawsuits flew, conspiracy theories multiplied, and the treasure's exact location remains a secret, locked in a legal and ethical debate over whether the wilderness should be littered with clues or left untouched. What makes the Fenn cache so fascinating isn't just the treasure. It's what it reveals about modern treasure hunting. In an age of GPS and satellite imagery, Fenn proved that mystery still thrills us. His hunt wasn't about wealth, it was about the spark of possibility, the idea that magic could still exist in the mundane. Yet it also exposed the darker side of obsession, the environmental damage from heedless digging, the lives lost to recklessness, the way a romantic notion curdled into entitlement for some. The Fenn saga leaves us with a question. In a world where everything feels mapped and monetized, is there room left for pure, unscripted adventure? Or have we traded the golden age of tangible treasure for the quieter, more personal quests, the kind that can't be stuffed into a bronze box? Perhaps the real treasure wasn't the chest at all, but the reminder that wonder still lingers in the wild places, waiting for those willing to look. And who knows, maybe out there, right now, another eccentric is scribbling a poem, tucking away a prize, and daring the world to go find it. What binds these lost treasures together isn't just their glittering value, it's the way they mirror the best and worst of human nature. Each one tells a story of empires rising and falling, of desperate gambits and impossible dreams. They're relics of moments when history could have turned on a single decision. A pirate's betrayal, a king's last stand, or a soldier's choice to bury rather than surrender. And yet, for all their grandeur, these treasures share one haunting quality: their absence. It's the empty space where they should be that keeps us searching, rewriting their legends with every generation. Think about what these mysteries reveal about us. The Amber Room isn't just about stolen beauty. It's about how war turns art into plunder and how loss can become its own kind of immortality. The Copper Scroll's cryptic verses don't just taunt us with gold, they force us to ask whether some secrets were meant to stay buried. Even Forrest Fenn's modern treasure hunt, playful as it seemed, exposed something raw: our need to believe that adventure still exists, that the world hasn't been fully mapped and measured. These stories endure because they're not just about finding, they're about wanting. The moment a treasure is recovered, it becomes a museum piece, but while it's lost, it's a mirror reflecting whatever we project onto it: greed, curiosity, or the thrill of the unsolved. That's why treasure hunting will never go out of style. Whether it's a historian scouring archives for clues or an amateur with a metal detector sweeping a beach, the hunt itself is the real obsession. And sometimes the greatest discoveries aren't gold or jewels, but the forgotten chapters they drag back into the light. The Atocha's emeralds led historians to untold stories of colonial trade. The Beale Ciphers sparked debates about cryptography that resonate in our digital age. Even Oak Island's endless frustrations remind us that some puzzles refuse to surrender, and maybe that's for the best. So what's your white whale? Is it Yamashita's gold with its shadowy ties to war and politics, the Ark of the Covenant pulsing with divine mystery, or something quieter like the missing Fabergé eggs, their beauty scattered to the winds? Dive deeper into the stories that hooked you. Share them in the comments, debate the theories, and keep the legends alive, because the truth about lost treasures isn't just that they're out there, it's that they keep us wondering, questioning, and dreaming. And as long as there's one still missing, the hunt isn't over. It's just waiting for the next explorer to pick up the trail.